under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
and
and
justice.
justice for all.
for all.
Okay, will the secretary please call the roll?
Certainly. President Schultz,
Present.
Secretary Treasurer Horowitz,
Here.
Trustee Warner,
Here.
Trustee Pell,
Present.
Trustee Welker.
Here,
Mr. President, we have a quorum present this afternoon.
Okay, great. Okay. So first item on the agenda is for Ed is Far Pond and Middle Pond dredging. Did you want to
All
talk
right.
about?
Yeah, I can give you an update. I talked to Scott Hillary last week about when they were going to do the dredging Far and Middle Pond. He said, being that they spent over 5 weeks, almost half of their dredging season in the town of Southampton, and they had other obligations in Southold, East Hampton, and other East End towns, he said they would not make it for the winter dredging season. I discussed possibly doing it in the springtime during that window of time when they would be able to come over here and do the dredging. He said more than likely they would not do it with a hydraulic machine because it's a lot of work for them and heavy lifting. But he said if we generate a letter from our board asking to utilize that spring dredging window and to amend the permits in order to do an extended reach excavator on both of the projects, he would look at it and could possibly get that done for us, because Middle Pond, as we speak now, it's totally unnavigable at low tide. The water depth is less than 3 feet in the channel. It's completely filled in for almost 100 feet. And Far Pond is almost the same scenario. So it definitely needs to be done. I had discussed possibly doing it with our money, with our ability to get an excavator, and he said he'd rather do it through the county and have the county take care of the whole entire project that we just discussed.
I thought that when I talked to you that they were going to do it, at the same time now with an excavator.
No, they're not going to do it until the springtime.
Well,
because they need to amend the permit from hydraulic to an excavator, and they also need, after the permit's amended, which is going to take quite a bit of time with the regulatory, process, as we know, with the COVID situation. So they will not be able to get in there with this. And another thing is that I believe they have budgetary restraints as far as for 2020. So they're trying to push it off to the next year where they're have a new budget reset.
yeah, but there's no guarantee. I mean,
There's no guarantee, but
they don't get that permit if the DEC falters on that, and they don't get that, and then the county comes down and says a certain amount. There's a possibility they say at that dredging window in May or whatever it is that we don't have the money. Sorry, we can't do it.
well, the permits would definitely both need to be modified or amended for the first part of it. Secondly, I don't know how their budget's going to lay out, but that's what he asked us to do, is to generate a letter asking for that particular scenario for them to do the dredging, because he feels it's best for them that they do the dredging. That way it stays in-house, and then for future budgeting, they'll have that ability to say that they've done these projects. So it's just a letter right now asking them to do it.
When is the last date that you can dredge down there of this season? Do you know?
I believe it is the 15th of January, but I'm not 100% sure, because last year they said they were going to shorten the dredging window 15 days. And on the other end, the September end, they gave them a month ahead. So I don't know if it's going to be January 1st or January 15th. I didn't discuss the date in the winter with him because it looked like we would have to go to the other option in the springtime. So we don't even have time to amend the
Sure, but
dredging
the
permit.
he could amend it on a moment's notice too. I mean, if they already allow dredging there, and doing it with an excavator is a lot less environmental consequences than doing it with a hydraulic dredge.
Oh, I
Right.
agree with that. We had done Fresh Pond, but look how long it took us to amend that permit to get the ability for us to do it and pay for it. It was probably 2 months to get that permit amended, and that was before COVID and all these other, issues and dealing with regulatory, other regulatory departments. It's virtually impossible to even have a conversation with a lot of these, people.
Well, it's not as if we're applying for new permit. It's just a different way of achieving the same goal. So, I mean, danger of losing a large piece of. I'm not blaming this on you. I'm just saying that there's consequences involved here. Where a reduction of CPF property, the town's involved, their property's getting washed away. Malcolmson's property's getting washed away. The town highway, the road ending. Highway department just had to dump a bunch of more sand there today, and it's getting to be a real hazard, and that sand's got to be there, especially going into this season. So I don't know, I think what's in order is to talk to the DEC tomorrow and see if we can get some sort of word from them that they're going to push this thing through, so we can at least get the opportunity that if we have to go down there, if we feel that the county's not going to, get enough money to actually even do this in the spring, I mean, we're going to have to go down there and do it ourselves to move that channel over and armor that beach a little bit. You'll build it up.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to dispute that, but the permits are both in the county's name, so any correspondence would have to go through us to the county to the DEC. That was my understanding.
At least we can start the ball rolling with the DEC.
I mean, well, what he asked for is just a letter to be generated asking for this, which I think we should, start with. And I will reach back to Scott to get a little bit, fill him in on how the meeting went, what the sentiment of the board is, and so he knows what he's going to be dealing with as far as the trustees and our needs. So that's why I wanted to have it ASAP, is have this discussion.
Right. Well,
Yeah, I mean, if I may,
it's going to cost to do it if we say rented a machine, leased a machine, and had our heavy equipment operator go down there and at least open that channel and pull that spit that's formed, in the back part of the channel there, to pull that sand around like we did in the springtime. You think it's worthwhile doing that, right? Sooner or later?
I would do it in this. I would wait in the amount of material that is off the beach, ready to fall in that channel. I would wait until the very last minute of the boating season. If you go down there on a good low tide, like the end of this week here, when you get a good northwesterly wind, there's a tremendous amount of material. If you pull that out of there, I would say it would be less than 2 months before all that material's back in there again.
That middle or far pond?
That's middle pond.
Right. Middle pond, I'm not as much concerned about as far pond, because that's building up down. Our beach is plenty wide up there.
Yes.
But it's where the consequences are all on a far pond. So what about
Correct.
far pond?
Yeah. And the one thing that I see at Far Pond, the only way you're going to get a long reach excavator to do that dredging properly is to access it from the west side.
Right.
Which there is no deposition, or there's never been a deposition site on that. So that's going to be a double amend. You're going to amend the dredging with an excavator and amend the deposition site to place the material on the west side where it should go, where it comes from.
Well, the only other thing you could do would be to take some of the fill that's built up in that point on the west side and push it into the channel and work your way over. And then when you can get out a little bit further, start, going from the east side, I said, and then pulling from the other side and filling it, and then moving over and move that channel over a little bit, and then
make a bridge.
All the depth will be on the east side.
Yeah, but you definitely want to take the material that's in the West Pond Channel and put it in front of West Far Pond Road and by
Right.
Mr. Malkinson's property.
Right.
And doing it with an excavator would be more of a controlled situation. So I think we could accomplish that pretty neatly.
So maybe that's a stopgap type of thing that we could do in the meantime is basically get as much sand from that channel, which would help the county out.
Yeah.
Pull it back and put it in front of the rocks, and bolster up the end of the road, because the highway department's spending all this time keeping on dumping more and more sand down there. It's costing the town money. The property's eroding and everything like that. I think we have to, if you can work it out with the county and figure out, if we can do something in the meantime.
All right. Well, that's what I'm getting, basically getting a conversation here going, and then I'm going to relate it back to Scott Hillary probably
Eddie?
Tomorrow after, it'll be too late tonight.
Eddie,
Right.
I think the county's been very accommodating to the town as a whole, in my view.
Yes.
In terms of meeting the needs of what we needed, to get done here, Southampton town in general.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, if the permit's in their name, I mean, if you can get the conversation going to make whatever amendments you need to get done and just make sure that it's on the schedule. I mean, I have a lot of confidence in Scott Hillary, in terms of what it is that they can do. So I think
that's going to be my first ask, to get it done that way, because that's what he asked me last week.
Well,
But
if you could express,
and we can go in there a little and get at least a little bit of it pulled back.
well, those guys, the county went, in my view, in my understanding, they bought new equipment to be able to get in and do these projects, right? Didn't they get a couple of new long stick excavators so that they can get into these situations?
Yeah.
So, I mean, here's a classic example of where they've made an investment of taxpayer dollars to get equipment so that we can meet the needs of what needs to be done. And then I think it's just a matter of communication between, ourselves, them, and the DEC and everybody else to modify the permitting so that, we get in sync and we get it done. So I think that if you can have that conversation with Scott,
Yeah, I started the conversation last week. I said, I'm going to follow up and get the information at the meeting. I pretty much understand what Eric's asking for and what you're saying. So that's my next conversation with Scott. And I'll keep, everybody in the loop of what's going on. So, I mean, we got quite a while here before, the dredging season this winter, it's not going to happen. That's a definite, because to get the permits amended, it will be a pretty heavy lift. But once we get into that regulatory, debacle that we're going to get into, I'm going to reach out to, Zeldin's office, and then also reach out to, the DEC and move it along for the amendment. So,
all they have to do is say either hydraulic or with a excavator. That's all they have to do is add "or excavator" onto that whole permit. I don't see what the big, problem's going to be.
all right,
Eric, if it was that easy, I wouldn't even be having this conversation.
All right. Well, listen, if you need my help, I was sitting on that dredge committee meetings, going to those up until we had the COVID, where we had to kind of pull back on things. So if you need my help to reach out, certainly let me know.
Yeah.
But keep moving forward.
I will get everybody up to speed probably tomorrow or Friday. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Edward.
Yep.
Question. If there has to be a delay with this, the material that's piled to the east of 72 Far Pond, is it possible to move that over to the end of the road at Far Pond?
There is a substantial stockpile there right now, more than what there needs to be there. I would say yes.
Yes, we can do that. We just have to arrange. We possibly could lease an excavate. I mean, a payloader, and have our guy run it.
We get assistance from another town department to help us out. Maybe Parks Department could help us with their excavator or highway. Maybe we all try and keep it all in-house.
I'd like to do that.
First.
Yeah.
That'd be a good wintertime project when there's no plovers around, there's no people around, the tides are low. You can get a day or two in there and get a lot of work done. So that would be something I think we should look, in January, February, in the next couple coming months to do. All right?
We were talking about doing that anyway. Yes.
Right. So let's have some conversations with our in-house resources to see if we can accomplish it.
Yep.
Yep.
Great.
Sounds good. All right, so it's after 3:15, so we're going to jump out of this meeting for a couple of minutes, and we're going to go into a special meeting that we've scheduled for 3:15. So,
I'll second that.
okay. Well, we can't do any resolutions at the work session, but we're going to jump out of that, and I'm going to open the special meeting of the town trustees scheduled for 3:15 on December 16th, 2020. So would the secretary please call the roll? Secretary on there?
Lisa,
Muted. You're muted.
I apologize, everyone. I was muted.
Nope.
President Schultz,
Yeah.
Secretary Treasurer Horowitz,
Here.
Trustee Warner,
Here.
Trustee Pell,
Present.
Trustee Welker.
here.
We have a quorum present, sir, and if you could kindly read the special meeting notice into the record.
Let's see, call to order. I just have the resolution in front of me here. Oh, resolved.
No, just the special meeting notice. The one James was gonna print out. Just the notice. I can text it to you with my phone. I'll text it to you.
Just read it. It'd be faster.
Okay, to the members of the Board of Trustees, special meeting of the Board of Trustees, Wednesday, December 16, 2020 at 3:15 PM. Please be advised that a special meeting of the Board of Trustees will be held via Zoom video conference on Wednesday, December 16, 2020 at 3:15 PM for the purpose of considering the following. Resolution regarding Tom's Pond, Tuckahoe shellfishing, signed Eric Schultz, President, Southampton Town Board of Trustees, dated December 10, 2020, Southampton, New York.
Okay, fine. I got a package of printouts, but that wasn't in it. Okay, very good. All right, so we have some people that possibly want to talk, so we'll go into public portion. This is regarding, this whole meeting is taking place because we're talking about opening Tom's Pond for the taking of shellfish and setting limits and everything. So we have a public portion. Anybody here to speak at the meeting?
Yes, we have a few people. If I could just make an announcement, if you want to speak, please raise your hand and I will bring you in one at a time. Thank you.
Okay.
What if they're on a phone, Charles?
To
Why
speak.
don't you bring them all in and we'll talk to them?
Well, I'll just do it. It'll work like this. I'll make it work.
Okay.
Thank you, Charles.
Will Caldwell is first.
Maybe.
Will, you have to unmute? Or Charles, do you unmute?
There you
No.
go.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Will, if you could just state your name for the record, please.
Will Caldwell.
Thank you.
May I speak?
Oh,
Yes.
yes, of course, yes.
So I found out about this Tom's Pond closure and did a lot of digging into it. I talked to Greg Rivara and to get the roundabout of what's in there. My familiarity with the pond is that it's generally a really deep hole in there that's filled with clams at the bottom, and there's a little bit around the edges that the guys scratch raking can get. And then I also was told that there's something like 50,000 harvestable clams in there from Rivara, which was coming out to be like 126 bushels. And that you guys were talking about proceeding with a 4-day opening per year. Am I correct in all that?
That's what's up for discussion.
Discussion.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just wanted to let you know there's a few old timers that go in there scratch raking and dragging equipment out of that place, and especially bags of clams is pretty much a nightmare. These guys use this pond as a place to go when it's really, they can't go anywhere else. It's like their little sanctuary, so they can make $100 or $200. And I know it looks like a great sanctuary to you guys, but it's also a great tool for these guys who just need to make a day's pay and a couple bucks. So what I would suggest is that the Bayman Association would offer up the money to buy 100,000 seed clams and plant it annually. in exchange for allowing these guys to go in there and harvest at their convenience throughout the open part of the season.
We're not talking about closing it now. We're talking about openings.
Yeah, I had heard that it was going to get a smaller season, a shorter season, and some limits put on it.
Right.
And so I really don't think if you limited the time these guys get to drag their 100 bushels out of there over the course of the winter to a few days, you might just create a derby, and everybody's going to show up because it's a.
Well, of course, it's everybody's resource. There's a lot of people that want to go clamming, not just commercial guys. And now this should be advertised that there's an additional place where regular people can go.
Yeah, that's great. I'm all for that.
Okay.
So I just didn't want it to get the season to get shortened in any way from what it's been now, from what it's currently is.
Well, I talked to the Bay Constables, and they can be available on the 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, and the 28th, 29th, and 30th. It was suggested from them, since they have limited manpower at that time, that they can monitor the situation from, say, 9 o'clock in the morning till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I would give 4 hours, and I think that's perfectly adequate, wouldn't you, for a professional scratch raker to get 800 clams in 4 hours, right?
I don't think it's adequate at all, because then maybe I was going to go there in January, or maybe I was going to go there in March, or why would you set it into a block?
Well,
and then
that's
we're corresponding to refund the clams potentially if we took every single one of the 50,000 clams that are available for harvest out of there. If these guys somehow are amazing with clam rakes, we're going to basically refund them, give you 100,000 back, and the system should remain and grow in the amount of clams available in there. And mind you, nobody's touching the mud. There's no way to get the actual, according to Greg Rivara, he said he would try to drop by this afternoon. He said the bulk of the clams are down in the mud hole, which no one can touch, which essentially creates a perfect spawner sanctuary.
Well, he doesn't know that because he didn't go out there with a boat.
He dove it.
When was this? Lately?
I had a conversation with him, and he did his samples, and he said the highest densities were in the bottom of the pond, something like 60 per meter, and up in the shallower areas, I think he gave a number of about 14 per meter.
Yeah, I know. I was there the day. Me and Bill Pell were there the day when he was sampling. He didn't have any dive.
Okay, okay, so then I stand corrected. He told me that the densities at the bottom were that 60 per square meter.
I don't know where he got that, but what he was saying was, in actuality, was that he felt that there was larger clams in the bottom since it wasn't worked, and that was producing the spawn that allowed the density. Plus the fact is that the marine maintenance seeded right along the edge too a couple of years ago.
Okay.
So felt that the density of the clams in the middle was sending out the spawn for the set on the edges.
Okay, yeah,
He didn't indicate that he dove. He didn't have any diving gear that day, and I don't believe that he came back.
okay. I may have misunderstood him. I'm sorry. I may have misunderstood him last night.
Okay.
But it just seems crazy to me that it's going to be any kind of change to the way it's been forever. It's been just part of the opening in Signage. When that opens, it opens, and it's still full of clams to this day. So I don't see why we would have to bring in Bay Constables and enforcements and calendar days and what's the end goal to achieve. And I thought it was to achieve a spawner sanctuary, and that's why I felt that replacing the 100,000 clams, which is double what we suggested even capable of taking out of there, would make it all the better, less things to manage and deal with, and leave it status quo. I thought you would be excited to hear an offer.
So you're saying keep that closed, and
No,
you're going to
keep it the way it's always been open.
pull the clams out and put more clams back in.
I'm saying it's always been open for the entire season. Right.
You know, I see Greg
Right.
Rivara is at the bottom over there. I wonder what his
Let me
thought
correct
process-
that statement. It's open from, as of right now, it's a seasonal area. It's open from December 1st until the last day of April 30th. And the rest of the year, from April 30th until the end of November, it's closed to harvesting for any shellfish.
Right, so that's essentially when I say open when it's a winter opening for us. It opens on December 1st, and we get, if someone needs to go in there throughout the course of the winter opening, it's there for them. And if it's not needed, then they don't go in there. And
I mean, Will, I'm concerned about, obviously, you know, all of the factors that we're talking about, the tradition, the Bayman. I'm also concerned about the sustainability and the dividends that are paid off from having a healthy, sustainable shellfish stock, you know, kind of like mini what we have going on in Shinnecock right now, where we all had discussions and all the stakeholders got together and we created the sanctuaries and things seem to be going quite well there. And I'd like to see that remain. My whole concern is that we, you know, we maintain sustainable, healthy stocks in this area for everybody. I see Greg is on the bottom of my screen. You're now adding something in here. The Bayman's Association and yourself are adding something out. Can we get Greg? I'd love to hear what Greg's take is on this. You know, putting the 100,000 seed clams in there and the sustainability and how this all works out. Is it possible?
Let me just add one little quick thing there. Why don't you just keep it closed and then take the seed clam out of there and put it out into the bay? Use that as a nursery and take that 160,000. The Bayman's Association goes in there in the springtime, digs it up and puts it out in the open bay.
because it's one of those spots that the old timers pretty much go to on a need be. If their general day pay is $100 and a storm like today comes and they can't go anywhere, they know they can dip down in the pond and pull their day's payout. These guys aren't going in there to get rich. They're going in to do what they've always done and try to find their $100 a day or $200 a day. And that's one of the tools they use to hide from stormy days.
Okay, but now we factor in the general public now because there's closed signs on there all the time. And they only have a certain area where you can get to that pond. And now the general public knows about it. And there are quite a few people that are interested in going down there and getting their clams before Christmas. So how are we going to regulate that all?
I don't know. It's always been first come, first serve, but I could see a point where in a great year, they could take them all before December 25th, if that worked out. Is that what you're getting at? And then the public wouldn't have clams?
No, so if there's a limit on there on per day, then, just even the first day, how are we going to, we have to have the bay constables there. There's quite a few people that are interested in going down there now.
But it'll be open for everyone to go. It would be a resource for anyone to use.
Mm-hmm.
It would be no different than in 1990 when there was 16 or 17 guys down there working, cutting holes in the ice with chainsaws. You'd all walk in one at a time with your, equipment, go to the ice, cut the holes in the ice and start to work. And sometimes you would get help dragging your clams out. Sometimes you wouldn't. It would be no different for the recreational people. When they show up, it would be open. They'd be able to go down there, harvest their 100 clams along with the commercial guys. I mean, there's enough room in that pond for 30 people to go clamming in there in one day and not be on top of each other. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's a choice of people, how close they want to work to each other. I mean, you're not supposed to be closer than 6 feet because of the COVID. So, right. Even at 6 feet, you'd still have plenty of room for at least 20 or 30 people to work.
I'm interested in this participation from the Bayman's Association on seed in the pond. Is Greg on there?
Yeah, I'm here. Good afternoon, trustees.
Yeah.
Afternoon, Greg.
Greg, could you just please identify yourself for the record, please?
Greg Rivara, Cornell Cooperative Extension of Suffolk County. And I will clear up something. I did not dive in the pond. We did not look at the middle section at all. That was an assumption, and that was also, speaking to other folks, that was the assumption that a lot of the larger clams and the brood stock would be in that center portion.
Okay, sorry about that. Didn't mean to put words in your mouth.
So Greg, relative to this discussion now of the Bayman's Association contributing 100,000 to go back into this, factoring into this discussion of just keeping it open for the duration for the guys that go in there plus the general public. What's your thoughts on sustainability with that built into it?
Well, adding that number of seed clams, depending on the size, can't hurt. It'll definitely help. It'll take them probably 3 years to get to market size though. And no one's really sure about the sustainability of this. It seems like if you can kind of, give and take a little bit, it might be the best way to go, but those numbers aren't hard and fast.
It's like you want to see sustainability for everybody. You want to get the cultivation so you can get the benefits, but you don't want to go too far. So trying to find that balance is really important for this board, in my view, to be successful in managing this so that it works for everybody. Appreciate all the input that you have. You got a lot of expertise, Greg.
Thank you.
One thing I'd like to comment is that if you're waiting for a natural set to happen in this pond every year, more than likely it wouldn't happen. But if the Baymen's Association is willing to augment the clam population by contributing 100,000 clams every year, you're guaranteeing yourself basically in 3 years that you're going to have a harvestable crop. And as long as you keep replacing the clams that you're taking out with, hatchery stock, there will always be clams in there. And occasionally you're going to get a natural set on top of what is there now, which would increase the volume, whatever it may be, as far as a natural set. So that's one way I'm looking at it as.
So basically what it's saying then is that if these seed clams are going to be put down there, you're going to effectively close the pond down for the next 2 years then, till they grow to marketable size, what you have now, if you clean it.
No, sea clams will perfectly be fine going through a clam rake and back into the bottom as an undersized animal. They'll just cultivate it.
The edges right now, right? We don't really have any number of what is left as far as seed that's in there now. If you clean out that this year, then you're going to have to wait until 3 years until it comes up to size for harvestable size, right?
The seed that we would be planting would be non-harvestable for a few years, but we could seed them in the middle and on the edges. It doesn't necessarily have to be put to take. We're just trying to doubly replace the resource that we can hypothetically harvest in this scenario, given a perfect year, or a perfect clamor, I should say. So whether or not those guys actually pulled the 126, 50,000 pieces out of there or not, it doesn't matter. Let everybody, the public, have at it. Like, just go. There's no one really going crazy. There's not 20 of us in there shoulder to shoulder wiping it out in the first month it's open. It's just something someone goes to and picks away at. And if the recreational people want to go in the week before Christmas, I'm sure they'd still be able to find enough for dinner, because when you get to such low levels as trying to find a portion of dinner, the guys are going to give up on it anyway. And it's the most important concept to me is it's great now. And it's not just one size clam. It's not a single set in there. There's a range of sizes in there. The clams, yes, that we would be planting would be less than market size. And Greg said it would take a few years before they're harvestable. But if you throw them in the middle, they're not harvestable at all. We're putting them in there more as spawners.
So you're not proposing any limit on them?
If you want to put a limit, that's fine. I don't think those old timers are dragging more than a basket or two of clams out of there anyway. So
the proposal was two counts per day, 800 clams a day.
Yeah, that's fine. That's more than I think those guys want to drag out of there. I think that's all they're looking for, is a place to go get a couple bags of clams. But I don't think you have to police it every day to make sure they only take 2 bags of clams out of there. I don't really.
Well, we'll leave that to the constables in terms of what the policing. Obviously, regulation is important for maintaining.
And another part of the proposal that I had originally looked at putting up today would be to throw back any clam that is larger than 2 inches. Greg Rivera said those are the prime spawning clams. So we would throw them back into deep water. So you would always have that stock in there to continue, natural sets too. So I think.
Right. There's no problem with that. If you want to, let's break it down. One, how does everybody feel about the count limit per day? Bill, are you okay with that?
I'm fine with the count limit
I'm okay.
to
Ed?
2 bags.
I think, I mean, I discussed it with several baymen and they're pretty much around 800. I put the other one in there just to show the 1,200 to show how the amount of harvest goes down greatly if we're going to have the limit on 25,000 clams. I think 800 clams around Christmas time is a good harvest. And if they're ambitious, they can go somewhere else and go harvest some more clams.
Will you represent the Baymen's Associations? It sound like a sensible program?
That's very sensible because I know the few players that are going in there, and 800s would be a lot. I think they get a basket of clams and then it probably don't fit 800.
All right, so it sounds like that number works.
How many commercial clammers are we talking about?
I know of 2 that
Two.
right. Yeah. And they're both older gentlemen.
Mhm.
So
I spoke to 3 different baymen that actively have used it in the last several years. There probably are others that I don't know, but they were, pretty much asking for at least an 800 clam limit. That's why I set the lower one. I came up with the higher one just in case, anybody wanted to discuss it. But I mean, there's not a lot of commercial guys that harvest. There's just a handful of guys that scratch rig still, don't have boats, don't have availability for a boat. And, they're older gentlemen that go in there and just harvest, like Willie said, a day's pay to pay for food and stuff like that.
But they have commercial clamming licenses.
Yes.
Right.
and they are doing some good to that bottom by cultivating that bottom. So there is a benefit to everybody else by sensibly manipulating it.
Okay. So, okay, that's resolved. Then what about the time? So you got so do you want to make it in the mornings so the Bay constables can police it better? So you don't have the public or people from out of town going in there? The 2 baymen, but you're not going to know all the residential people.
Yeah. So
They're going to have to be involved.
I think the Fish Cove and stuff like that is like a 9 a.m. opening, and I think that's based on when the Bay Constables. That's fair. I don't.
Yeah.
9 to 1?
Yeah, that's 4 hours.
Yes. Okay.
It's not tidal in there, right? Tide doesn't matter in there. It's so shallow.
It's a very small tidal fluctuation. If you get a severe storm, you get a big tide in there. But mostly, Greg could speak to that because he was down there at high tide and he was able to access most of the pond where you scratch rig.
Okay, so 9 to 1 is fine.
Yeah.
Fine. With
Okay. Okay. Fine with me.
You still game with the 100,000 clam donation from the Baymen's Association?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important to put them back in there, especially if it's going to turn out to be a crazy recreational party. I think it'll help the place support more of this. I mean,
Do we, Sean Cambridge, do we have to memorialize this in the resolution? Or how do
Yes, we would. So we'll need a proposal. How about, we also have, I believe, 5 other people that wanted to comment.
Yeah, let's let them speak too.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
let them. Okay. Who else? Well, I see Mr. Brandt from InterScience and Martha Reichert. I don't know whether they're commenting on this particular issue.
Martha likes to go clamming.
Yes, she does.
Okay.
He's a clammer.
So Charles, you have anybody else?
No one else is raising their hand. They're welcome to come in. They're in, actually.
Okay.
They may not want to speak on this issue.
I don't want to speak to this issue then. Okay. Well, look, I mean, the Baymen's Association, if Will's representing them, they can just say that. We don't think we have to have it as a requirement on this resolution. This is clearly just an issue on the management of what we have in there right now and the time limits and everything like that. If they want to donate it later on, I mean, that's fine. We were setting, Ed had set the bushel limit already in a proposed resolution. And the only thing we're really discussing is when it's going to be open and what time. So,
Yeah.
if they want to give us the clams, then, they can do it at a later date.
I think it just adds really to the benefits of the whole management strategy of the area, because it's kind of in line with what we're doing over there in Shinnecock. And,
Yep.
I just think it makes it a better plan, a more sustainable plan for the public and for the commercial.
Okay.
Hey, Eric, I agree with Scott that it should be put in there.
Okay. All right.
Hey, Mark
You
is there.
guys don't mind.
I think when you have a collaboration,
That today, I mean, you're gonna be opening this thing. Why don't we put it as it opens on the 18th? So that's when the Bay Constables will be available to monitor the situation. Starts on the 18th, which is a Friday, and they can go all the way through till Christmas. And that's what we're trying to determine today. The Baymen's Association is not going to be able to get any paperwork to us certifying that, right,
Yeah.
Sean? I mean, are you gonna
Well,
tie to this
he's
resolution?
making a verbal statement now. You could tighten it up, but I mean, Sean should really, deal with
Treat
it
the
and,
two things separately. If they're gonna make a donation, that really doesn't have anything to do with this. We can do a resolution on our next public meeting accepting a donation. That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
But that shouldn't really influence
No.
Yes.
this resolution before the
he's
board.
making a statement.
That's what I'm saying. Right.
In addition, this resolution will have to be amended to be accepted. There were the two limits put in there because we were not sure which one the board was going to
Right.
go with.
Right.
In addition, there's this call-in requirement. It sounds like you're getting away from that as well.
Right.
And then the
Right.
dates also have to be amended. So if the board is inclined to adopt this, we have to make some changes first.
Go ahead, make him.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So the changes will be that, let's go over this, the whole thing. Whereas Cornell has conducted a shellfish study in Tom's Pond and has determined,
I'm sorry, may I speak, please? We have to go in the order of the agenda, President Schultz. So we have a tabled resolution first that needs to be taken care of.
okay.
Unless you want to take this resolution out of order, then that would require a motion.
What do you want to do? It's always a surprise here or something like that. What do you want to do?
Well-
Keyword.
So the table motion was your closure. You can
Right.
hear that right now and remove that condition.
We can withdraw the resolution. We can withdraw, the sponsor can withdraw the tabled resolution. That's an option.
Okay, do that.
All right.
So,
I'd like to,
Okay.
President Schultz is the sponsor, so
Yes,
he
I
can
was
make a motion to
responsible, so
withdraw.
I'll make a motion to withdraw it.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, now now I'm gonna read the original resolution and we'll change it as we go, okay?
Right. So a motion to amend with the second.
Okay,
Second.
Second, okay. All right,
Ed, you were the second?
Yes.
Thank you.
okay. Whereas Tom's Pond is a trustee-owned waterway located in Tuckahoe. Oh, hold on. Shows me the battery's going here. Should had 60% before. And Cornell Cooperative has conducted a shellfish study on Tom's Pond as the direction of the trustees. That stays the same. Whereas said study, Cornell Cooperative Extension of Suffolk County has determined protection of resources in regards to shellfishing is required at this time and recommended limitations of harvest of clams for the entirety of Tom's Pond, consisting of maximum shellfish harvest amount of 25,000 clams based on a 62.5 times 400 count, a 800 clam limit, 31 limit, 1,200, 21 limit. So what do you want to change that to, Ed? Max, just a max.
Maximum limit of 800 clams between 1 and 2 inches. Everything less than 1 inch
Okay.
is a C, goes
You have-
back.
Can you please slow down, please?
Sure.
I need to get the narrative here. So
don't have-
we're in the third whereas clause?
I'm just reading, it's just, leave that the same. Whereas Cornell Cooperative is determined protection. Now the next whereas is, whereas the trustees have deemed limitations necessary for the protection taking of shellfish waters and pursuant to 840, section 16, special authority, the trustees hereby impose conditions relating to use of equipment, imposition of limits, and imposition of time frame for shellfish harvest as follows. Now we get to the changes. Be resolved that Tom's Pond shall have a maximum shellfish harvest amount of 25,000 clams. Are you good with that, Ed?
It's either, yeah, it's, yes.
What
Or
about 800
cut that out and
per
say
day?
I thought
800,
800 per day for a certain period of
800.
days.
So we had drafted this based on trustee Warner's recommendation. The total amount is there because in the end, we have a clause where we can close the pond if the total amount is harvested prior to the last date of the harvest.
Right. So, okay. So we're doing maximum shellfish harvest amount of 25,000 clams with a daily limit of,
Hold on one
Are
second.
we adding this language, Sean? Is that what we're doing? We're adding?
I thought that that's what we were doing. We were amending this resolution.
So you
That's what
need
we're
to
doing.
strike one of the limits. It sounds like the trustees want to strike the 1,200 limit and add
Yes.
any language after the 800 limit that would be applicable to this.
Yes, that's what I'm doing. Be it
Okay,
resolved.
well, I have to be specific because I have to, okay.
Right, Lisa, so you're striking 1,221 limit and
Yes,
on paragraph 3, you're striking 1,221 limit on paragraph 5.
okay, just, Sean, can you slow down, please?
Yep,
No,
that's it.
Wait a second. We're striking the 25,000, Ed?
No, the 1,200 and the 21 in the third whereas clause, Sean,
Yes.
that's what you said?
Yes.
And the
Okay,
fifth.
and then in the first resolved clause, we're striking the 1,221 limit there as well.
Correct.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
And
Yes.
then I thought we were keeping the 25,000 clam limit with
I
a
believe so.
800
Right.
daily bag limit.
This is the fourth one. Be it resolved that Tom's Pond shall have a maximum shellfish harvest amount of 25,000 clams. Strike everything after that and just put with a daily limit of 800 clams. What size, Ed?
Between 1 and 2 inches.
Between 1 and 2 inches.
Perfect.
Okay. Resolved, next sentence. Shellfish harvesting shall only be permitted December 21st through December 24th. That gets stricken. Okay, shellfish harvesting shall start. We'll what do you want to put?
We
begin.
want to change 21 to 18.
Right. Shellfish harvesting shall strike everything after that and add commence December 18th through
March.
Through the end of the season, through the end of March.
Through
Is it March or is it April?
31st?
April 31st, April 30th is the last day.
31st it closes, yeah.
through April 30th,
Yep,
unless
unless you reach your number.
limit is reached.
If there are 100,000 seed clams going in, is 25,000 a reasonable limit, or should it be a bit more?
Well, that was written on trustee Warner's recommendation based on Greg Rivera's report.
Right, but that was before.
Yeah, but
That was
that,
before.
but he's saying that he's going to put more in than what we're taking out.
Right, I
You're
was,
gonna have predation and everything else.
Yeah, plus it's going to take 3 years, 4 years for those clams to come to legal size. So if you increase it, you'll be all out of clams in 1 year or 2 years before these are big enough to be harvested.
We also have to take in consideration the clams that will be in there for next year are going to be bigger and could potentially be bigger than 2 inches. So it's almost counterproductive not harvesting all the clams that could be harvested in the slot size, because by next year, those clams are going to be bigger than 2 inches. So
Right.
that's,
So then why don't we do a yearly assessment of what's in there, and we can set the limit for next year. How's that sound?
okay, but we should do it earlier in the season.
Yes.
We'll
Okay.
coordinate with Mr. Rivera.
So that will read now, resolve that shellfishing shall commence December 18th through April 30th unless the 25,000 clam limit is reached.
I have
Is that
one
okay,
question.
everybody?
Eric,
Yes.
I have one question. On the freeholders, are they in the slot size too, or just commercial?
No, everybody's in the slot
I was-
size.
So we have to
In order-
make sure we put signs up for the freeholders.
Okay,
Special management area.
Yeah,
okay. All right.
so they won't know.
Yeah,
Right.
Bill's right. We're gonna need some good signage and
So we
everybody's
might
gotta
want
be
to
on
wait.
the same
We
page.
might want to wait until Monday to open this to get the signs up in place.
Well, we can print something out on a paper and laminate it like we do with our permits and
Yes.
up on a thing. That's all
All
right.
right.
Okay, resolve the next sentence, in paragraph, that a 2-inch slot size shall be imposed. All larger clams and clams smaller than 1 inch shall be thrown back. So is that okay with everybody? 2-inch slot size shall be imposed. All larger
Yes,
and smaller than 1 inch shall be thrown back.
yes,
Okay.
because,
Yes.
Okay, next one is resolved that the recreational shellfish limit shall be 100 clams per person, and therefore be it further resolved that commercial shellfishing limit shall be 800, fill in that blank, 800 clams per strike per person, to put it in per holders of commercial licenses. Okay,
yep.
Question. Why is the date being changed from December 17th to the 18th for opening?
because the bay constables are not available until that day. Due to people taking vacation and other manpower limitations. I checked with our bay constables, Rich Franks, and he gave me the dates. And he's good from the 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 28th, 29th, and 30th right now, until they come back for the first of the year, and then they'll be up to full capacity again.
And plus, it's bad weather tomorrow. I don't think anyone's gonna go clamming tomorrow.
Well, now it gives us the time to get the other notices printed up and posted there, and it gives the golf club the ability to now put a fence up to let everybody know where they can and can't entrance to get to the pond. Because we only have an easement across there where the culvert is, not throughout the whole piece of property.
So are we
Okay.
good then on this?
You want to make the motion?
2 more clauses to go through.
Page 3.
Okay.
Ugh.
So resolve that all shellfish harvesters must call the office of the Board of Trustees between the hours of 9 and with their catch limits on a daily basis.
Is that really necessary?
I'm just reading it so we can change it if we want to leave it or not. Resolved that all shellfish harvesters must call the office of the Board of Trustees with a report of their catch amounts on a daily basis, not exceed the harvesting limits set forth. Limitations shall be strictly enforced by the bay constables in the area, signs posted for access reflecting the limitations herein. I don't think we have to have that. Do you guys?
No.
Okay,
I think
I-
it's creating more work for everyone,
I-
as is a lot of this.
I think they should call and at least leave a message that they are clamming, so we can keep track of actually how many people is using that pond.
Yeah, there has to be some, if we're talking to 25,000 limit, we really should have some kind of track of it, don't you think?
Yes, just a call in, they can write it down.
Or write it down and submit it on a weekly basis or something like that, how many clams they took out there, so we know if there are more clams to go, so we can extend the limit or extend the season or close it.
well, if they do log what clams they take out of there and they don't hit the threshold and there's still a considerable, so I mean, we can keep it going until we hit the 25,000 clam limit. I was just trying to make accountability for the harvest. That's why
Okay,
that was in there.
I understand
I think
that.
it's I think that's good.
Sorry, Bill, go ahead. You
I
there?
think that's good that we have accountability of the harvest. It's a good way to count it. I mean, the fishermen do when they go out fishing in certain areas.
Okay.
It's a common practice.
Well, the only question I have with that is that, first of all, I don't want to burden the office with another issue of logging in all these guys who are going down there. I don't know how much they're going to report in, and they're going to report their catch, but we're not going to have the same imposition on the recreationals. So we really don't have a true picture of what's really coming out of there. Would it be better to have that they submit a weekly sheet or something like that? Or is that area specially tagged that the DEC would keep track of that? Or is
No,
that
that
all
would,
Sabonic complex?
that would be P2, and that would be the Sabonic complex. But the Bayman, when they harvest in a small area like that, is supposed to put in his daily log P2 Tom's Pond, P2 Sabonic Creek, P2 North Sea Harbor. So they would specify in their commercial logs that they keep specifically where those clams are harvested.
And when are those? I'm not familiar with those commercial logs. So when did they get reported to the DEC?
You don't, they go with the tags from the dealer logs it. The only time you get looked at is when the DEC officer looks at your logbook, making sure you have the daily log up to speed each day you harvest and where you've been harvesting. If there's any question of clams that people gotten sick off of, they can basically trace it back from the cradle to the grave, basically where the clams were harvested and where they ended up going. So it's accountability as far as the shellfish goes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but so there's no record.
Can I suggest something?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
I was just thinking, I don't know how feasible it is, but I'm thinking of one of those little, like you get the doggy, pick up the litter bags, put a little box there, and just have the guys, when they're done, take one of their shellfish tags and write Will 1219 800, drop it in the box, we leave, and then put a sign up there for the recreational guys to just please let us know what's going on. Write a note. They can drop that, and you'd have full accountability of it. I guess you would have to have someone come down and tally it up every once in a while, but it'd be the easiest way because it's going to take someone 20 minutes to count them all up as opposed to phone calls and someone didn't call. And
Right.
All you need is a mailbox there with a 4x4 and let them stuff it in there, and the Bay Constables can pick it up at the end of each work day and drop it off to town hall, or we could pick it up at their office.
or
Very simple.
once a week if it doesn't seem like there's a lot going on. You'll get a true reading and you'll get the recreational input on that.
Right. Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah. Good idea, Will.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. All right, now we just have to figure out how we're going to word that all in this resolution there. Okay. So the all shellfish harvesters
Must leave a written record daily in mailbox.
I'm sorry, what mailbox?
all in a hold on a minute. Let me get
Receptacle that,
Can they email it to me? Can we do it via email?
hold on, we'll let the Bay Constables handle that. Okay, resolved that all shellfish harvesters will report the amount of clams they harvested that day and deposit a written account in a receptacle placed on site.
yep.
Hey, Eric,
Yes.
I would put commercial and non-commercial.
All harvesters.
All harvested.
The
Okay, all harvesters, commercial and not and residential.
the freeholders won't understand that.
Okay, put that in there, add that in there, that all shellfish commercial and residential shellfish harvesters shall report the daily catch
Okay, so we're starting over again because what I have is all commercial and residential shellfish harvesters shall report the amount of clams they harvest that day and deposit a written account in a receptacle to be placed on site.
That's it. That's
So
it.
you want to keep that language?
Yes, that's good.
Okay, and we striking out, so, are you keeping in the language regarding the limitations imposed herein shall be strictly enforced? You keeping that in?
And the area will have signs posted for access. Yeah, I think that's okay.
Okay,
Yep, yep.
got it.
That has to do with the area will have signs posted for access reflecting the limitations herein. And now therefore be resolved, the Board of Trustees may end the shellfish harvest early at any time throughout the we're going to strike December 21st through December 24th, and we're going to insert December 18th through April 30th
Of 2021.
of 2021.
Yep.
Once the above reference limits have been met.
Okay, December 18th through April 30th of 2021. Got it.
Right. Okay. So if
Yep.
everybody's with that, I'll make the motion that we
Adopt.
adopt.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
Bill, that was you? You were the second?
Yes, yes.
Question on the motion? No, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'd just like to take a moment to thank both Greg Rivara and Will Caldwell for their participation in this to make it something that it works for everyone.
Okay,
My pleasure.
Yes, thank you, guys.
I appreciate
Thanks.
you guys listening. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for your input and thanks to the Bayman for their contribution to the cause as well. Thank you, Will.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you.
right. Okay, anybody else wish to comment on any issue today? We see there's some people in here, they might be on other applications.
Right, probably waiting for the applications.
Yes, okay. All right, so I'll make a motion that we close the special meeting of the town trustees today, and then we'll
Second.
resume for other meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
So carried.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, thanks.
thanks.
Thanks, guys. You have a good evening.
Yep, you too.
Bye now.
Take care. Thanks, Greg.
Okay, Charles, you ready? I had to move because my battery. Yeah. You ready, Charles?
Keep it moving. Yes.
Okay. All right. So next item on the agenda for the work session is the signage at West Neck Point Road. You want to discuss that, Bill?
Yes, down at West Neck, West Point Road, people launch their boats mainly in the wintertime to go duck hunting. And you guys launch it to go clamming. And they have a habit of parking on the beach instead of pulling back up on the road. So the neighbors are all complaining, and some of them are accidentally driving into the wetlands and to the grasses at high tide. So I asked Rich what he would come up with Sean for a sign. I said, boat, and this is what they came up with. Boat launch area only, no parking on the beach / wetlands. Wetlands are sensitive area, no vehicles permitted at any time. Vehicles with trails park on the West Neck Point only by the order of Southampton Town Trustee.
Okay. Yeah,
You guys fine with that?
about that too. Yep.
Can I just make one comment that someone contacts the highway department and make sure that you could turn your trailer around down there, because it's a very, very narrow place to turn around. That's why some of the guys pull down on the beach and back their boats in. They put some pipes there and in obstruction. I think they're taking over some of the town highways, roadway there.
Yeah, we can check on that, Ed. Some of the trucks are kind of big with the trailers, but I can check on that.
Yeah, I think it's important, Billy, because, that way it will get people, and,
Yeah.
there are a few driveways on the east side, so, we'll make sure you park on the west side. And just make sure the road's nice and wide so you can park out of people's way.
Yes. Yeah, I'll call Mr. Oliver tomorrow. I mean, probably Monday.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Ed, for that.
So if that's good, then we'll move that to the regularly scheduled meeting on Monday then for a resolution on that. Okay.
Can I make the signs up in the meantime, start on the signs? Have Richie order the signs?
Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna take a while for them to get built, so.
Yeah.
Who is preparing the resolution, please? Will that be Sean or who will be preparing that?
Sean, he needs more things to do.
Yes. Yeah, he had 5 minutes spare time the other day. It's unacceptable.
Don't
Okay.
worry, we'll fill it up, Eric.
I will fill it up. Okay. Sorry, I'm having a little technical difficulties here. Okay. So next item is waterfowl hunting location permit applications for determination. And I don't know whether Jessica's here, if she's weighing in on this.
I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we
Okay.
can hear you.
Okay,
Okay.
great. IT just brought me a new webcam. I was having some technical difficulties the last time. So,
Oh,
from what I hear, it's snowing pretty hard. So I'll make this very brief,
Okay.
or as brief as I can.
Okay.
Ralph Beaver, permit number 13. This is an expired non-renewal permit that's going to go back to the wait list. From what I understand, he's not interested in renewing.
yeah, I called.
And he hasn't supplied any documentation to the office.
Yeah, I attempted to call him several times. The last time was today. I called both numbers and there was no answering machine and no answer. So
I did reach him.
you did? Okay. And
He said he was gonna let it go back. I asked him to call Jessica and let her know, Mrs. Feldman. But I don't think he got around to do that, but he did kind of indicate that he had to let it go. So,
okay. So we'll move that for the next meeting for denial and give it to somebody else and put him on the waiting list. Does he want to put it on the waiting list or does he want to, or just not interested in hunting anymore?
I guess, whatever the circumstances are, they are. So I would stay.
All right. Well, he hasn't
protocols.
indicated that he wants to be put on the waiting list, right?
What's that?
Had he indicate that he wanted to be put on the waiting list or he's just not interested?
I didn't get into a substantial back and forth. I asked him to contact the office. Jessica Feldman does a fabulous job at managing the program on the inside for us. And I really wanted them to have a dialogue, but I guess he didn't reach out, but he was kind of indicating.
I can give him a call and see if he wants to go on the wait list, and then he'd have to fill out just like a short application.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. So
Yeah, great.
I'll reach
Thanks,
out to him.
Jess.
No problem.
You could do that.
Okay, so we're going to advance that. I'll type the resolution for that for Monday.
Okay.
So next is Trustee Pell's area, and we have Travis Muller. This is no permit number. It is the denial of one new waterfowl hunting location application in Sabana Creek Complex, West Neck.
Jessica, on that one, I'm going to hold that over. He wants to come in and speak about it.
Okay.
So maybe next meeting, we'll give him time to speak about it.
Do you want him to come in for a meeting or for a work session?
Probably a work session
Okay, so in the new year then.
in the new year. Let him come in, give him a date. He can zoom in.
Perfect.
Okay.
And you'll let me know when he's going to do that or when he wants to come in, or
Yeah,
how do you want to coordinate that?
Yeah, give him the dates with all good, and I'll call him and tell him. And
Okay.
ask. Well, send him an email.
Okay, all right, we'll touch base this week and next week about that. And then the next one is going to be Dr. Mack, permit number 227. This is a late renewal. He did submit a letter of explanation, and let me read it to you guys. He says, I'm writing to let you know that due to being overwhelmed with the current health crisis, I have forgotten to renew my duck blind. I would like to be able to keep my blind, and if you can extend my permit, I would greatly appreciate it. Sincerely, Dr. Mack.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I'm good with it.
Okay.
Yep, let it go.
All
Okay.
right. So we'll advance that one to be permitted for the season.
Okay. By the way, the blinds by my house, I can hear a lot of gunshots going off this
Oh,
afternoon.
yeah.
The last 45 minutes.
All righty, and I think that wraps it up for the waterfowl stuff. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for
Take care,
everything.
Jess. Have a good afternoon.
Get home safe, everybody.
You
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Excellent job as always, Jessica. Thank you.
Guys, bye.
Okay, thanks. Okay, Scott, you're next with 37 Bay Road.
I believe we received a letter on 37 Bay Road.
Yes, we did.
Okay,
Hey,
James.
James, you're on mute.
James, you got to unmute yourself.
You're on mute.
James.
Can you hear me?
Now
Yes.
we can.
All
Yeah,
right.
just
Yeah, he said that I received the email from land use, and they're just hoping to hold it for now until they figure some stuff out with the DEC and with I guess the neighbors or something like that. So
We should absolutely hold it because this was heading into public hearing territory, if I recall.
right.
So that's my suggestion.
Okay.
All right.
so we'll go to 68 Foster then.
Yeah, Ed's next. 68 Forster LLC.
All right. This is the, as soon as it gets up the Allen's Acres or Ponquag Manor.
Wow.
There's already a floating dock there that they put in 2 years ago, which we had the Bay Constables go down and give them a notice of violation. They're coming in to basically legalize this structure. It's a commercial facility. There's I guess 10 or 12 different condos there. Basically, they installed it, put these white vinyl caps over the pipes. I mean, it's consistent with what would be there, historically alongside the bulkhead back in the 60s and 70s. So, James, do you have any questions about this?
No, I don't have any questions.
There's adequate water there because it was all dredged. There's a low sill bulkhead right behind it and a flourishing wetlands. Putting the dock in there now like this would be a good, finish to the project.
This is a good example of a functioning low sill bulkhead on a dug canal.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a really good example of it. It was originally it was a dilapidated bulkhead with a asphalt parking lot right behind it. Now they removed the bulkhead, put the low sill bulkhead in, and there's about 25 feet of flourishing wetlands between the low sill bulkhead and the upland. So it's a really good project. So I recommend that we move it forward if we can. All right.
Move it.
And
Yeah.
we should, and there should be it should be an as-built fee, right, James? Because it was already installed.
Yes, when they pay the dimensional fees, they'll pay the as-built.
Okay.
If they have-
James,
Yeah.
if you can, please print those photos out for our next Cliff Drive discussion about how low sill bulkheads work.
That's a good idea, Eric.
This is my personal first with the low sill bulkhead. This was a Roy Hagee and Consultants plan originally. It did have to be modified. There was a 6x6 that was placed on top of the original low sill bulkhead because it was too low to make it functionally work. They added a 6x6, and it's working very good right now.
Yep.
How long's that been in there, Ed?
Oh, it's got to be 8 or 10 years, maybe 10 years, I guess. Yeah.
Great.
Yep. Anybody want to go down there and look at it? They can get a good idea of how low sill bulkhead works.
Yep. Okay, great.
All right.
Can move that ahead then, Ed?
Yes, please. Lisa.
Yes, thank you, Ed.
Okay.
All right, at 6 Penny Lane.
Yeah, this is a property that is on Penny Pond. It's an old bulkhead. They're looking to remove it, put a Navy-style 55-foot bulkhead in place using vinyl pilings, ESP 400 series, to reconstruct a 220 square foot boardwalk landward of the new structure. To raise the bulkhead 16 to 18 inches to coincide with the bulkhead to the north of the property, with backfill of approximately 17 cubic yards of clean fill, and establish a non-turf buffer zone. All material will be untreated. It's consistent what we had given as far as raising the bulkheads in the area of this along the stretch. The bulkhead is old. It was put in the 70s. So I recommend that the bulkhead be raised. The only question is the amount of basically decking behind it, but it is consistent with all the other properties to the north and south that we have permitted. So just having that said, that they are going to put a non-turf buffer zone in there. I'd like to see some grass planting put in there, but that would be up to the applicant to do that.
It looks like the tide is coming right up to the top whaler now, huh? From the staining.
Oh,
on the
that is a very low, it's an old creosote bulkhead. It was put in there, maybe even in the 60s.
Yeah.
So it's an extremely low, point. So raising it up would, actually stop some of the runoff that comes down. There's 4 or 5 residential structures between Penny Road and there. So it would actually slow the amount of runoff that is going into Penny Pond. So
Yeah.
it would actually be a much better project than what's there right now.
Well, you'll be taking out the treated lumber.
Yep.
You'll be putting new vinyl, but it really clearly shows that was adequate at its time, and now the tide is coming right up to the top of it now. So there's
Yes.
definitely sea level rise within our bay system.
Yes, 100%, Eric.
Not even a question.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see that, move that along if it's okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
Could we ask for native vegetation as opposed to just non-turf?
I mean, you could ask, what I would like to ask is for some beach grass to be planted there to
That'd be the
have
best.
some kind of root system. We
That would
could
be the
ask.
I think Kevin's on right now. If
Okay.
Yes.
maybe
I'm
just get
here.
him to.
There's Kevin. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, Kevin.
Hey, guys. I'm here. I had mentioned the beach grass to the homeowner originally, and I don't think that's going to be an issue. So I will double check with it, but I don't think it's going to be an issue at all.
Okay.
That's your easiest to maintain, that Cape American beach grass.
Yeah, I use it pretty much everywhere now, so.
Yep.
Yeah, very well.
And just let us know, okay? So we could put a note in the application page that, or send over a new application page stating that, so when the Bay Constable goes and inspects it, he knows exactly what he's going to be looking for.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just email that to me, Kevin. Thanks.
all right.
All
Thank
right.
you.
So that's a
Thank
new
you.
cover sheet, James?
Yes.
That's the new
Okay.
one, yes.
Okay, and that's going to be on for the meeting of the 21st.
Correct.
Right,
We'll move it along. Thank you, Lisa.
okay.
Thank you.
Bye, Kevin.
Welcome, Kevin.
All right. Next one is Cold Spring Pond Association. For Bill, I'm going to read it for Bill because he does not have it in front of him.
I have it in front of me.
Let's pull it up here. I think Jim Walker's on.
I think Brant
Brant
is. Right, Brant?
Let me just make sure I have the right one up here. Oh,
This is the update version after they dredged.
yeah. This isn't the updated one. Hold on. might be this one. All right, so this is the description on the plans that they sent in. So beach grass and snow fencing are no longer proposed. The New York State DEC directive material to be placed at a 1-5 slope from mean high water mark. The material will be 2 feet above the existing grade on the beach. Plan and cross views have been revised. 3 properties with sand added pursuant to New York State DEC permits are shown on plans with the details approved by the state. Snow fence in front of these parcels is existing and was permitted by New York State DEC. Cross view of these permitted by New York State DEC and Suffolk County DPW. Dredging is shown. The amount of fill to be moved is shown. It is specifically noted that the county placed the alternate dredging sites east of the inlet to the west of the inlet on an alternate dredging. Hence, this is the reason for requesting sand to be graded in the evening manner along the shoreline in the location.
There was about 15,000 plus cubic yards of material that was dredged out of Cold Springs during this last dredging cycle. So they got a substantial beach back there, something they have not had in probably 30 years.
And the
Decades.
DEC removed the requirement that they plant it?
That's news to me.
Well, that's what,
Well, we can require them to plant it.
yeah, I know. Yeah.
Is Jim on or no?
I think Brant is.
Brant is on.
Charles, can
I
you
don't know that-
unmute
I don't-
Brant, please?
I don't think Brant knows the details, but
Oh,
Hello?
yeah, Brant.
hey, Brant.
Hey, everyone. So, yeah, I don't know the specifics of it, but I do know from what I've seen on email exchanges from the DEC is that the removal of the beach grass and snow fencing is a requirement that came directly from the DEC. That's all I can speak to about that.
So the Department of Environmental Conservation is saying no replanting or retention of the sand. Okay. That makes sense, as usual.
No, it doesn't, because it's
I know, I'm being
a highly erosive area.
I
It's
know.
almost counterproductive to everything that we're doing here.
I know.
So, Sean, can we override it and require them to put the fence up and grass it?
Or we could just ask the DEC what their thinking
Yeah,
is.
if I can just offer a little bit of commentary on that. Bill, I would ask that you reconsider trying to override a DEC recommendation without first having some kind of conversation with them.
Okay, so let Jim go back. We'll hold this over and let Jim go back and let him ask the DEC.
Well,
I believe he's been down that road already, and that's why I think it might be important if it is an important element for the trustees to consider. I would recommend that the trustees reach out and understand from the DEC exactly what the issues are. So collectively, as regulatory agencies, you can come to an understanding as to what's best for this beach.
That's not an issue. I can reach out to them and have a discussion. If you would table it, I think that would give us some time to do so.
Yeah,
Okay,
so we can be more restrictive than the DEC, can't we?
You certainly can. Yes.
That's right.
Eric, it's
Yes.
the Peconic Beach Road we're talking about. We have that roadway that goes through there,
Yeah.
that 75-foot easement. So they
Mhm.
should be talking to us.
That's
I got a question, Brant. I know it's Jim's application, but can you just confirm that this area is where the spoils are now, correct? And that what you're proposing is to move this sand and spread it out throughout this beach further down in front of these houses. That's the overall plan, correct?
Yes, that is my understanding.
And then it was to plant beach grass and put snow fencing or sand fencing up as well, but that's what you guys were just discussing. I just want to be clear that that's the project.
Right, and
that you guys are looking at.
as with any other dune restoration or shoreline stabilization, snow fencing and beach grass are standard protocol. You know, it's something that our office would highly recommend.
Right.
Right, I just want to make sure that the trustees are okay with doing that. That's because that's the main part of this application is to move this spoil down and spread it out throughout the whole beach.
Yeah, because I mean, the reason being is the literal drift is pushing this all into that inlet. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm fine.
Right.
no, I just want to make sure that they were all aware. That's it.
I
and
mean,
and
it's been decades before the last time they put it there was last year and then this year, but it's been decades since any material has been placed on that beach. You do
Right.
realize that, and that's why
Yep.
it was so eroded, and that's why we advocated for this project to take place the last couple of years, so that we could reconstitute that beach, and take the following protocol: beach fencing and grass planting to stabilize it for the future.
Right. Well, Brant, let me ask you a question. When you make an application to the DEC, and this is not to put you on the spot, I'm just saying, when you make an application there, isn't there a sheet that says that you have to get permission from the owner in order for you to make that application?
are you talking about like a letter of authorization?
Yes.
Well, technically, if you are on, if you're the property owner, you need to sign the application form.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is that the trustees own that Peconic Beach Road. So
do you own it? Do you own it, or is it an easement?
We own it.
We
That's
own
what the DEC should not even be entertaining the application in the first place without permission of the property owner, which is the trustees. So we're worried about going back to the DEC. They didn't even follow their own protocol when they asked us to, when they were doing, when the people were applying at Agawam Lake, they needed owner's endorsement from us, but it seems to only work in certain instances. And then going back to the DEC and begging them to change their thing, they shouldn't have even been entertaining this until they got permission from the landowner, which is us. Just saying.
So,
I'm not putting you on the spot. I'm just saying I'm on my soapbox now. This has to be resolved once and for all. This whole situation.
I agree 100% with you, Trustee Schultz. And I think if Sean could reach out to the DEC and offer some clarification on a few different points, one that being one of them, and then secondarily, why would they work against the trustees in a standard beach grass and snow fencing type of shoreline development? It would help our office to get some answers for this project more quickly and get this beach stabilized as quickly as possible.
Right.
Right. So I'll work on setting up a conference call. This was sponsored by Trustee Pell. So he, myself, and the environmental analyst, James, I think would be appropriate for the call. So I'll work on setting that up with the DEC.
I also would recommend, I'm sorry to jump in, perhaps James or Bill should reach out to Jim directly tomorrow or maybe on Friday, just to clarify anything that I might have misspoke about. But that's just my general understanding of this project.
Right.
I think Jim just maybe didn't realize he was supposed to be on this discussion today.
No, I think it's a great project and just should be retained. Beach grass and snow, just like any place else.
I agree.
Okay.
Yes, it's good.
So we're going to hold this though, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Or do you, I mean, are they, I guess it's a question for Jim, but are they looking to do this now? Because if you can move the sand now and then deal with the grass plantings and the fencing later, I don't know.
I recommend the board to table the whole thing right now.
Okay.
I think James has a good point. My problem is Jim would be the only one to answer that question. My concern is this sand needs to get pushed to where it's supposed to be located as soon as possible, because series of nor'easters will quickly, push this stuff back towards the inlet, and that's what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to get it spread out over the beach so it gets stabilized.
Okay, well, let me suggest this then leave it on the agenda for the Monday meeting. And if you guys come to some kind of agreement between now and then that's fine. If you don't, then we can table it at Monday's meeting.
That would be great. I think it's a great recommendation.
That would give us an option, I
Now,
guess. Yeah.
I'll try to call Jim tomorrow with James, do a three-way phone call.
Okay.
Maybe with
Sounds good.
Sean too.
Okay.
James, if you have trouble getting a hold of Jim tomorrow in case of the weather, call me on my cell phone, and I'll try to get Jim for you guys to somehow put him in touch with you guys.
Okay.
I have a question, please. This is going on Monday's agenda due to time sensitivity, because generally would go on for the next meeting.
Yes, please, I think, Lisa.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to advance this pending. We'll have more information tomorrow.
Yeah, by Friday.
Well,
Okay,
just gonna set the meeting for Monday and put it on for Monday, and then if it's some of the issues are resolved, then we can pass it. If it's not, then we table it to the next meeting.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for
Thank
the
you.
clarification.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you, Brant, for stepping in.
And I'm going to stick around for the next one. I also have the following application.
All right. Make sure I get the right one here.
Want me to just read the description, or you got it, James?
Yeah, I got it. Oh, hold on.
Get it upside down.
It's up there.
Turn your camera upside down.
All right. All right, modification of permit WORC 0071 to clarify and ensure permit description is consistent with dock plans prepared by Bates Massey Architects, last revised September 4th, 2019, as approved by the Southampton Town Trustees on November 4th, 2019, for the construction, a residential dock consisting of a 4x30 foot 1/4 ramp up connecting to a 4x15 foot 5/8 fixed pier catwalk elevated 4.5 feet above grade through wetlands vegetation per Army Corps of Engineers standards, connecting to a 4x15 5/8 ramp down, leading to a 4x75 2.5 foot 2.5 inch fixed pier catwalk elevated 26 inches above mean high water per Southampton Town Trustee standards, over open water connecting to a 4x4 fixed pier platform, step down to be 18 inches above mean high water, located in 2.5 feet water. 2 4.4 by 4 IPE pilings are to be installed seaward of the fixed platform to tie off the stern of vessels in deeper water. A 4x15 foot 5/8 open frame dinghy sling is proposed for storage of racks, storage of kayaks, canoes, and paddleboards. Pretty much this was approved. However, the plans did not match the description provided us back when it was approved. So it was missing the 15 feet on that catwalk. So it used to read 4x75 foot. 4x60 foot. When it should have read 4x75 foot. So when the Bay Constables went down and did the inspection, it was 4x75 rather than 4x60, which was approved by the trustees, but it just wasn't stated correctly. So that's what the modification's for. If Brant has anything to say, he can say it as well.
Very good, James. I appreciate that. If you could go to the plans, maybe the just the profile plan, I can give the trustees an understanding just where there was a misquotation on the project description. So James has the plan. James, scroll down a little bit so you can see that profile. So right where that dinghy sling is, so what happened is our office didn't prepare these plans. Generally, when you see plans that come to you, or they're prepared by our office, and we know exactly how to detail these things to make sure that everything's consistent and documented correctly. Our office did not prepare these plans, so when it came time to write the description, there was a misreading of the plans, and the verbiage didn't match the plans that are actually approved by the trustees. So that section right where the dinghy sling is a 15-foot section that did not make it into the product description. It's part of the pier. It just instead of noting it as a full 75-foot fixed pier, it was noted as a 60-foot pier because there was an erroneous neglect for that 15-foot section that's part of the dinghy sling. You know, it's a very honest mistake that just happened as part of the writing of the language. That's all I have to add.
And they paid for the extra 15 feet on the amendment.
Okay.
And it's still in the pier line, so I'm fine with it.
Oh yeah, that's important. It is still in the 100-foot pier line.
Correct.
Yeah. So we can if you want, we can advance it.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Brent.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Have a
Brent.
good night. Good luck
Take care,
with the
Brent.
storm.
Two.
Charles, there's a whole slew of people that would like to come in on this next one. This next application is Newen House, 61 Harbor Drive in Noyak, represented by First Coastal. They came before us before and are now resubmitting the application with an updated survey. Billy or Martha, do you want to speak to this?
Unmute there. Hey, everybody, Billy Mack here.
Hi.
How's everybody?
Hey, Billy.
Hey, Billy Mack.
My camera on as well. There we go. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Great.
Good. Yeah, we're trying to make this quick. Everybody probably wants to get on the road. Yeah, so we had the surveyor update the survey to show apparent high water. Obviously, the bulkhead, and some of you guys may have visited this, does get wet quite frequently. And we're looking to have this in front of you guys for a permit to replace it. And some other work was done. Thank you, Martha, and she's on, to demonstrate very similar properties that you had recently and some issued in the past. I'm looking at that. Approved almost an identical situation within the area.
Right.
The challenge previously was that the survey, the mean high water indicator on the survey was not conducive to this project being within trustee jurisdiction. So with the submission of this new survey, it changes things. James,
Yep.
maybe could you bring up the pictures?
Which the ones that you gave me today, or?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hang on.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, just give me.
One thing that I did notice here is they're really healthy wetlands. So if those could be looked after when the work is being done.
Oh,
that would
yes,
be much
absolutely.
appreciated.
We're very sensitive to the wetlands when we do bulkhead reconstruction. All the work would be done from the upland.
You can see his pictures, correct?
Yeah, I can see the pictures.
Okay.
James, can you click on them so that they come up so that they're full screen?
Which one do you want to see?
probably the farthest
not-
one left.
Are they not full screen?
No, they're small there.
Yeah.
All right,
Thumb- the little thumb.
they're full screen on mine, so hang on.
Weird.
Let me do this. Hold on. Let's try this. Better?
There we go.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's, and then just scroll to the other two if you could. That's just the height of the property to the west.
You see that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
And
looks
the
like a nice
wetlands.
dead low tide photo.
Yeah, is that dock permitted?
Mhm.
As far as we know, yeah.
And did you look up if that dock fits the permit schedule?
Mhm. Yep, that would have been done when this was first submitted to us when we were first looking at it. And James, there's one more.
This one?
There you go. Those are the wetlands I was looking at.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this, so
we could
that those
just take care of
Martina
those.
beds that you're looking at,
Mhm.
well away from them.
Well, I didn't have any problem with the whole project. It was just the survey. That was all. Now you corrected that. It's fine. I'm good.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
Yeah, more people here that want to comment on this, you say, Ann, or?
Is there anyone else? Martha, Mr. Newenhouse?
No, I mean, I'm here to answer any questions the board might have, but, you know, I don't have any additional comments to make at this time.
Do any board members have questions? Comments?
No, as I said, I'm okay with it.
No,
Okay.
You
Then
recommend
the
it, Ann?
updated survey,
I'd
it's
like-
okay.
I'd
Yeah.
like to advance this, please, then.
Okay.
Joanne,
Thank you, everybody. Drive carefully if you got to drive home.
You
Are you
too.
in-
You, Billy Mack.
All
Are
right.
you in the first coastal situation room there?
Yes,
Is that
this is the first coastal. This is where it all happens, you guys.
what- Oh, okay.
All right,
Okay.
everybody be safe. And
You
have a good
too.
one. All right, cheers. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
So that concludes the agenda.
see
Does
you,
any
Martha.
of the trustees have anything to offer? Additional comments on anything? Any
Yeah,
report?
I do have, I had a email sent to me by Wade Carden from the DEC in reference to the oyster planting that's going on and has been going on in Western Shinnecock about the mature oysters and the Nature's Conservancy. I believe, James, you got the email also?
Yes, haven't had a chance to review it yet.
Yeah.
That the one that's off by Penniman's Cove?
Yeah, that's the one that's by Penniman's Cove and Cornell's Extension's part of it, and they're putting spat on shell, but this other organization, SOAR, supporting oyster aquaculture restoration, was collecting marketable size oysters from the Peconic Oyster Farms, planting them in Western Shinnecock at 2 locations. The general area where Cornell planted the spat on shell, and the area between Stony Brook, University, Sedge Island, and Oyster Reef. So basically, they're going to be taking mature oysters, which have the ability to spawn, and putting them in these 2 areas, increasing the amount of oysters that are on the oyster reefs that are currently permitted in Western Shinnecock.
So this SOAR, do they have permission from us? Are they working under Cornell's?
Well, they're working with Chris Gobler. Chris Gobler's taking.
Dr. Gobler submitted an email this afternoon, like 2 minutes ago. I haven't read it yet, but maybe, I mean, I can certainly read it if you'd like.
Yeah, could you please, Ann? I don't
Sure.
have the email. I have all this stuff from
Dear
the D.
trustees, last month I presented the details of the SOAR oyster planting program for Shinnecock Bay in your work session, after which you stated your approval of the plan. As
Okay.
promised, here I am attaching the precise details of the planting plan. As you
Okay.
know, this plan is to support oyster growers who have experienced severe financial hardship due to COVID restrictions. As such, the team running this program wants to buy the oysters from the farmers before the holidays to give them a financial boost. Hence, your rapid approval of this plan will benefit these farmers. Please let me know how we may proceed.
Okay, so why don't you put it on for, if time is of the essence, put that on Monday's meeting too. If you want to do that.
I think we should.
What was that, Ann? I missed it.
They like to, let's put it on Monday's meeting. He's asking because they want to buy the oysters before the holidays.
Yes. I think
So there's,
It's
it's in your email, everybody. There's a pretty detailed,
Yeah, I just got it now. I'm looking at
yeah,
it.
we were in the meeting when it came in.
right.
Yeah, well, I tried to get everything to everybody before, but that didn't happen. Sorry.
That's okay. It's
Okay,
here
so
now.
it's between Stone Creek and Penniman's Cove, which is pretty hard bottom there, and there's not too many clams, and it's really not shellfish. It's not viable bottom. I've been over there last summer poking around, and there's nothing really there.
It's a really good area. If the oysters were going to set, they would end up in Weesick and Tiana Bay. They would have a residence, the spoil would have a residence time of probably 48 to 96 hours. So hopefully we would be getting sets of oysters from these proposed sites too. That's why we had worked with the Baymen's Association and picked these areas, Eric.
Yeah, well, probably some of it'll go into
correct
Phillips Creek there, which is a little brackish with the water coming from Walcott's Pond, so that might be a good. Okay.
All part of our sanctuary system, isn't it?
Right, correct, Scott.
Yeah, it's really the only way you can get to it is that area is by boat, and it's very shallow. So it's north of the channel, and nobody really goes up in there.
It's a really good area to put oysters.
Used to be pretty good for clams. Used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, you could get a bushel in a couple of minutes over there. Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Is James and I writing this resolution, or Ann, or who's preparing the resolution?
We'll have to sort of utilize Dr. Gobler's
email or letter.
Right, yeah. We have the bones of it, Lisa, so we can help
Okay.
you for sure.
Okay,
But
so
maybe
did you send me a
Sean-
copy in? I
Sean
can't see
help
my
you.
email.
Yep,
Can you
and
just
Sean,
forward
I
me?
think Sean, you're on the phone, right?
Yeah, I just switched devices, but I can help you on that tomorrow as well.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks,
I'll
Sean.
send it to you guys and then we can all work on it.
okay,
All right,
great.
very good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
Just, Ed, are you finished?
Yes.
Just quickly, you guys, just to remind you, tomorrow night, 6 p.m. is the Lake Agawam Zoom meeting where they're doing a recap of last summer's projects. Mill Pond year-end report will be coming to us shortly from Princeton Hydro. And I've asked that they do a presentation in the beginning of, in January. So that will be coming to us. Last night, Dr. Gobler did a very comprehensive analysis. I'll go into it a little bit more on Monday, of Sag Pond, his work on Sag Pond the last 2 years, the last 2 summers. And I guess the other bit would be, interestingly, all 3 cuts are open right now. Georgia, Sag, and Mecox are all open. And I just would really like to underline both at Sag Main and at Scott Cameron, 4x4s have been driving up on a couple different spots, up either in or around the dunes, into the beach grass. So it takes a long time for dunes to build. The beach grass, the structure of the beach grass, the rhizomes that are the root system are really what hold that sand in place. So the 4x4s driving in the dunes is just, dunes are super fragile. So just, I know all you guys know this, but it's sort of concerning to see.
Can we put signage there designating the beach access for both areas? Or is there signage there already? It sounds like people are not listening to anything. They're just doing whatever they feel. And there's a lot of new 4x4 people that have gotten, Range Rovers and all these fancy vehicles, and they don't really, understand how to access the beach properly.
Well, they need to get some tickets, and perhaps somebody's privileges need to be taken away from them.
Yeah. Trustee Pell and I have been discussing this, and we should, if necessary, start doing some hearings and suspend some permits.
I think I agree. That's exactly what we need to do. But we got to speak to the
100%.
constables. It boils down to enforcement, the constables. We got to have a discussion with the constables.
Yes.
In both these situations where I noticed it, there's now snow fence that is extending up into the dunes so the drivers can't go around. And in the other spot, there's a no vehicular access sign.
There's a lot more people that are out here now that are normally not out here, and they don't fully understand what it is we do and what we don't do. And, my concern is it is going to have detrimental effect on our resources and environment. I think that we're going to have to educate people, and we're going to have to nip it in the bud so we can preserve it and take care of it. So I suggest we get on this right away.
Yeah.
Not only new people too, there's some people around here that just don't give a damn.
Well,
please,
that's just plain disrespect, and I don't have patience or tolerance for disrespect.
Oh, well, it's to the point now where we really have to crack down because, start going into the dunes. We have numerous lawsuits about the easement. We don't need undermining it before a judge at some point where we don't have regulations and we're not enforcing them correctly and adequately to, the people abusing the system. So it's very, very important that we keep on this.
Yes.
All right.
Agreed.
I got you loud and clear.
Yep.
Okay.
So Scott and I went down to Bay Avenue in Eastport the other day and began measuring up for the piles and in preparation for submitting a request for proposals and bids. We're going to break it up into several different items. So allow our marine maintenance to do some of the work, some of the demolition work. And so we're working on that right now in our area. And Scott's done a great job on Baycrest Avenue. You want to add to that?
No, I just, Baycrest is another area that we spent a bunch of money and we spent a lot of time making a great resource, and we're having a problem down there as well because it's so nice now. A certain element is going down there and they're doing donuts and burnouts and all kinds of stuff, and they're making ruts and a nice freshly spread blend that's there. So it's another area where we're going to need some enforcement. And it's frustrating when you work so hard to cobble everything together to get one of these projects to go, to have people go down there and abuse the asset and abuse the resources. It's disappointing. I hope people will stop doing that. We also went over to Road H, and we're working on the same set of variables and specs so that we can get that moving in a direction. And I also spent a bunch of time back and forth with Cashin on the Bay Avenue project, which has been going for quite a while. So we've got a lot of really positive things going on at this board, in spite of the pandemic and all the inconveniences and all the things we can't do. We're being very productive, and we'll be going out to bid on these projects, I think, very shortly. So I've been working on those, as you all know, and I've gotten input from everybody, and we're just going to keep marching forward, and the public's going to get some nice projects as quickly as we can get them done. And And I'd like to thank you all. It's been fabulous working with you through this. And stay safe tonight.
Scott, I'd like to touch real quick on Road H. I did send you the original plan, the worksheet from Inner Science, so you could look that over too and interject that into your findings.
I saw that. I appreciate it. Got some measurements, got some, got a lot of notes, drawings, diagrams, spoke to Trustee Pell, yourself, and the rest of you folks, and we'll put it together. We'll get it out there. We're going to get all kinds of numbers back, and we're gonna get it done. The public should have nice, safe places where they can go fishing and enjoying the waterfront. And a lot of these things have been beat up for a long time, and we're gonna get these things done. It's gonna happen.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. So, hey, Scott, can you send that over to what Ed sent to you?
I was gonna send it to the whole board, Bill.
I got you. I'll take care of it.
All right, thanks.
I got it right here.
Also, I spoke to one of the tenants down there, and he would like to put some input on fixing the dock up too when the time comes.
Okay. Well, the time is getting close, Bill.
That's what I told him.
Yep.
Yep.
I spoke to Rich Franks today. He sent the guys home early, and the highway department did too. They're going to resume operations at 6 o'clock. They're going to load, waiting for the highway department to start at 6, load the salt and sand trucks. And our guys are going to be out on the road probably like 6:30 or so after they're loaded up and do all the trustee roads.
Excellent.
Thank you, Eric.
Whose area? We got some hunting issues going on also out there in the Mecox area. Are you guys aware of this?
Yeah, I've heard of. I've
Yes.
looked at some emails.
Yeah,
All right,
Rich,
so
I spoke to him on that. He's going to get to the bottom of the situation tomorrow, he said.
Yeah, so my suggestion is that somebody, the trustee for the area perhaps needs to, somebody's got to reach out, I'd be more than happy.
I already did.
You did.
Yeah, he's trying to see if it was a mistake or not, but it's the position, the location has been actively hunted for like 20 years. So it's not a new location. It's been a historically used location. So
The one off Bay Avenue, the one that's located off the Bay Avenue area?
Bay,
Talking about a different location?
it's not Bay Avenue. I think it's Bay Lane. It's off
no,
of
Bay
Montauk Highway.
It's Bay Avenue. Bay Lane is the one that's over the launching ramp. Bay
Bay
Avenue is the one by the
Avenue.
old
Sorry.
duck farm.
Okay.
But
Thank
you
you.
have to remember, a lot of people were not out here during this hunting season. They're here now. They're out walking. They're in the yards. So, I mean, what was hunted before, you would not have a problem. You might, take into consideration how far the shark carries and stuff like that now. So when we have very competent bay constables to do a good study. So I think they'll get to the bottom of this. And
Somebody needs to have a conversation with the constituent.
I emailed him and I was at work today, so I'll follow up with a phone call.
All right, as long as somebody's going to, like I say, if you need help, I will be more than happy to help out in any way that I can. But public safety is priority one.
Yes.
And there has to be an education component. And obviously, I feel we have one of the best run, if not the best run, duck hunting program, and the constables are owed a lot of credit for their management of that. But it's a constant management.
yes,
So everybody needs to be communicating so that we don't have a public safety issue, and B, everybody understands what's going on here. So, all right. So do what you got to do. And if you need my help, please, I'll be more than happy to help you.
because there was a heavy lift getting these regulations in place in the first place. There was a lot of opposition to it, but I think it paid off because I think it's bulletproof now as far as if it ever goes before a judge, we have one of the best regulated and efficient way of putting out the sites, issuing the sites on Long Island. So I think it's going to be able to be defended. So it actually, all those rules will defend.
We run the largest hunting program in the state of New York.
Right. Want to make sure everybody's compliant with the direction that they're supposed to be situated and in the right spot, and that we're 100% making sure that it's safe for the public and that there's no issues. And when these concerns and complaints, hit our desks, we've got a duty to make sure that they're investigated and that everybody understands and it's proper.
Yep, definitely. Okay. Anybody else?
It's getting late.
We're good.
Okay, get home.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
night.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Have a
Thank
good
you, everyone.
night. Thank you,
I
Lisa.
second
Thank
your
you,
motion to
Sean.
adjourn. I guess that's what that was.
Second.
To close?
Yeah, we need a second on that.
I'll second it.
It's seconded.
Sorry
Thanks,
about
Charles.
All right.
Okay.
Get on safe, everybody.
Safe ride.
You too.
Good night,
Take care,
everyone.
Sean.
Night.
Thanks, Lisa.
Get
Bye,
home
Charles.
safe.
All right, Lisa.